If there was ever a lucrative business, it was human suffering. Everyone wants to be safe. Here we stand on the frontier of technological adventure, and all people care about is having a house on the moon. We've got a greater vision, the Ark. Since recently discovering the end of the world is upon us, various private investors have taken a keen and sudden interest in the colonization of other planets. We prepared for smear campaigns and vicious competition, but instead, all the major players agreed to keep the apocalypse a secret. Now several of the world's most renowned technology and fabrication companies are secretly competing for grants to contribute to the construction of the Ark, a great spacefaring vessel destined to carry humanity's finest to foreign planets, where they will continue the survival of our species. It's a pioneer's dream. Though, there is one part that worries me. With all this secrecy, people aren't exactly playing fair, and I'm not sure I trust anyone in this game. In Machines to the Sky, up to 4 players face off against the apocalypse in a race for control over the Ark, a technological marvel and humanity's only means of survival. Money is no object, with players instead testing their ability to manage the various projects they assign to their labs, optimizing how many bonuses they get, whilst also aiming to meet the requirements of the next Ark level up. Each game gives players 10 rounds in which to prepare as many victory points as possible, positioning project cards to trigger their effects and leveling up to increase their scoring limit. Each round begins with the income phase, during which players generate power and recruit new experts, who they'll be able to use in the next phase to claim projects to work on. The basic income for each player is found on their player mat, along with bonuses for some lanes if they have no cards in them. Players should also check the top card of each of their lanes, as these are their active projects, which they can use the effects of. They should also check for any permanent projects, which have a green ability box and are always active, regardless of whether they are at the top of the lane or not. Each round an event card is revealed, either delaying the resolution of the current effect or triggering it and presenting a new event for players to prepare for. The world is already showing signs of decay, and this round, civil unrest has been forecasted. Once the next critical event is revealed, each player that has not leveled up their Ark progress that round must discard personnel cards from their lane 2 and 3. This player has a lot of personnel cards they wish to keep in these lanes, so they'll want to try and level up each round in case this event resolves. If players aren't ready for the real apocalypse, a training scenario has been constructed, presenting players with the option of playing Machines to the Sky without event effects. In this mode, event cards serve only as a round counter, but for this demonstration we're going to include events. Once players have processed their income and resolved the event card for the round, it's time to bid for the latest project that researchers have proposed for use on the Ark. Players take turns to place any amount of their available experts onto one of the revealed project cards. They can add to experts they previously placed, and can only place experts if doing so makes them player with the most experts on that project card. Once no player wishes to bid any more of their experts, bids are resolved. Each project is claimed by the player with the most experts on it, if they have at least as many as the card's value, which is found at the bottom right of the card. That player discards their experts on that card as they are sent off to work on that project for the remainder of the development of the Ark. All other experts on that card return to their respective players. Though the bidding process may seem simple, it's deceptively cutthroat, and players will not only have to think about what they want, but whether anyone else has reason to try and take it from them. Projects are the central resource in Machines to the Sky and the key to gaining control over the Ark project. Project cards are placed onto the player mat at the top of one of the 4 lanes, where they will be considered active until they are no longer the top card. Active projects can provide the player with resources, victory points, or triggered effects. Once the bidding phase has resolved, players will be able to allocate their newly claimed projects to the 4 lanes on their player mat. The lanes of the standard player mat have 3 different scoring types. In lane 4, all victory points are ignored. Lanes 3 and 2 combined can only grant up to as many victory points as the maximum indicated by the player's current level on the Ark progress track. All victory points in lane 1 are valid. Projects can only be initially placed onto lanes of a number no lower than the value found at the bottom right of the project card. To optimize the arrangement of their projects, player will need to use the advance action. This allows the player to pay power to move the top card of a lane to become the top of the lane to its right. Players can also use the demote action to reverse this process, and if they can accumulate enough power within a single round, they can trigger multiple effects using these actions. To demonstrate, our player is trying to benefit from the habitation card. Habitation grants the player an additional 2 power during the income phase, but only if they have at least 3 personnel icons across their active cards. This player currently has 2 active personnel type cards, each providing 1 personnel icon and also the Sunlights project, which has an effect that provides a personnel icon. With a total of 3 personnel resources across their active cards, this player's habitation will trigger during their income phase. Once players have finished their management phase, they check whether they have met the requirements for leveling up their arc progress. The resource tokens on the player's current arc level indicate which resources must be present among their active cards for them to level up. There's no additional cost, and the order of the active cards and tokens doesn't matter. Here we see that the player has the required 2 personnel and 2 eco icons among their active cards. They level up their arc progress, tracking this by moving their progress tracker up to the next level of the arc. The player is now ready for the next phase. A player may only level up once per level up phase, even if they have the required resources for multiple level ups. The player's reputation with the arc's investors increases as they contribute to its construction, increasing the amount of points they can score from lane 3 and 2. Leveling up also grants 2 other powerful rewards: tokens and contacts. As they level up, the player can select one of the resource tokens from their previous level of the arc track and place it onto one of the strips beneath the lanes on their player mats. The player's contributions to the arc has earned them a chance to claim additional credit and victory points for their hard work. For each resource token on a score modifier bar, each card of the same type in the lanes above the score modifier bar is worth 1 additional victory point. At the point of taking a resource token, the player can choose to flip it, converting it into a single boost token. The token will remain in this state until the player chooses to exchange it either for 3 power or 3 experts. This gives the player a significant advantage when bidding or allows them to carry power between rounds. When players level up, they also draw a contact card. This round, our player controls the priority card, enabling them to play their contact cards for powerful global effects. These contacts involve members of a shady underworld and aren't loyal to any one organization, so you'll need to make arrangements to ensure you benefit from their abilities more than any other players. In this case, our player is playing the Informant card, allowing each player to swap the top card of any of their lanes with the card beneath it. The player knows this will allow them to arrange their cards ready for the next level up, and they can see that the other players will gain few benefits from having this option. The played contact card is then discarded into a pile near the contact deck. The priority player can play as many of their contact cards as they wish during this phase, potentially making for a very influential contacts phase. At the end of the 10th round, players will count up their victory points to see who has earned the most influence over the arc project and the most control over its future. Our player first counts the victory points they earned from cards in lane 3 and 2, then they count the points earned from the score bonus tokens affecting their lanes 2 and 3. Then they repeat these 2 steps for lane 1. Players should remember that the combined points from lanes 2 and 3 are limited by that player's arc level, and all points from lane 4 are ignored. They say the gates to heaven are closing. Earth certainly looks like hell more and more each day. It's only a matter of time before people begin to notice, but for now, the race is on to save humanity, shape the future, and get our machines to the sky.